You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my list of the best films of 2025. Now, before we get into this ranking, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. So we are on to a new year, which means a new slate of films for 2026. As always, we have to take a look back and celebrate the very best that cinema had to offer in 2025. Now, this year, I set a new personal record in the number of new releases I watched, clocking in just under 200 new releases for 2025 at 198. Ah, I know. And if you watched my last video ranking the worst movies of 2025, yeah, seeing that many movies means I saw a lot of really bad films last year. But thankfully, I can also report that I saw a ton of movies I personally adored. So, as has been tradition over the past several years of doing this ranking, I am going to be doing the top 25 movies of 2025. Plus, yes, there might be a couple of honorable mentions thrown in to spice things up as well. And as always, this is just my personal ranking. These are films that spoke to me on a personal level, films that I enjoyed for one reason or another. They may not resonate with everybody else, but for me, they just hit. This is what cinema is about. So if your favorite films of the year don't show up here on my list, well, I'm just some old schmuck on the internet. Well, I'm just some boy on the internet who likes to talk about movies. Who cares? I want to see all of your favorite films of 2025 in that comment section down below. So, since we have so many films to get through, let's go ahead, cut this chitter chatter, and jump into my top 25 films of 2025. Kicking us off in the 25th position is my favorite romantic comedy of the year. And it's this wonderful, beautiful little film titled A Nice Indian Boy. Now, I feel like pretty much nobody else watched this movie this year, which is a huge bummer because if you like rom-coms, this is how you do it. Our two leads had wonderful chemistry. We incorporated the Indian culture of our writer director into the film, as well as our star. It was really funny, it was really charming, and super swoon worthy. Just a joyful, queer, romantic comedy we need in times like this. Getting caught at number 24, I have Caught Stealing. I had a blast with this. Brought his kinetic energy to this crazy concept of a movie. Austin Butler killed it, and so did those gray boxer briefs he wore. I thought it was heartfelt, action packed, tightly edited, bringing one of the most enjoyable film going experiences of 2025. Soaring into the 23rd position, I have the Fantastic Four. Well, I did enjoy two out of three Marvel films released this year, and my second favorite of those happened to be the Fantastic Four. This was just a wholesome, nice reset for a studio that has been struggling with identity recently. Our entire cast was absolutely fantastic. Our core group of characters felt like an actual family, and that bond was there. The visual effects looked nice, the action set pieces were creative and a lot of fun. And yeah, I laughed quite a bit. What can I say? You could say I had a fantastic time with this film. Punching down the 23rd position, I have Predator Badlands. Oh my gosh, what a blast! One of the best action movies of the year, particularly for just straight up action. Plus, you add in some cute characters. Call it Disneyfication if you'd like. I had fun with it. Our Predator was badass, had an awesome story of overcoming his short shortcomings in the movie. The buddy cop aspect between our two leads was fantastic. The prosthetics and visual effects were amazing. Dan Trachtenberg just gets it when it comes to this Predator franchise. Whipping us into shape. At number 21, I have Pillion. A BDSM gay romance starring Alexander Skarsgård? Yeah, sign me up any day, every day, all days of the week. Not only was this super steamy, at some points my jaw was literally dropped, and a little bit of drool may have come out too. But it also turned into a super sweet film. It's a nice little romance that actually has a great character development for our lead character. The performances are fantastic. The cinematography is also really nice. The costuming, now. The perfect blend of sweet and spicy. Kicking off the top 20, at number 20, I have Black Bag. All right, Steven Soderbergh, now we're back on track. Well, I didn't love Presents. Black Bag more than made up for that here because this was great. Soderbergh at his peak with a snappy, smart script, great performances from everybody in this big ensemble cast, a thrilling storyline that had me on the edge of my seat from start to finish. Punching their way into the 19th position, we have Thunderbolts. Yes, thankfully, my favorite comic book film of 2025 was in fact able to break into my top 20. And that's largely part because Thunderbolts gave me something different for the MCU, something darker, a little bit sadder, that spoke straight to my black soul. Florence Pugh absolutely kills it in the lead here. Lewis Pullman is fantastic in this film. All of our characters, or at least the ones that get any sort of time to shine, are actually really strong. And the entire idea of overcoming yourself and your inner darkness, your inner depression, your inner saboteur really spoke to me and moved me. Plus, that original score, aces. At number 18, I have My Dead Friend Zoe. Now, speaking of a movie about depression that spoke right to my soul, we have My Dead Friend Zoe. Oh my, this one really got me. What a wonderful kind of slice of life film about grief, about processing grief, about forgiving yourself, particularly in situations that you're not to blame for, and a pretty stark evaluation of mental health care in PTSD with our military. Performances in this film were great, and I particularly love that we don't reveal everything until basically the third act of this film. You just kind of are weighed down by this sense of depression and sadness, guilt that takes you in a different direction than you were anticipating. A really moving, at times quite funny, dark dramedy. Punching her way into the 17th position, we have Ballerina. Oh, I loved this. My favorite pure, straight up action movie of 2025. Ana de Armas kicks total ass in this movie, but much like all of the John Wick series, they make it a lot more believable because she gets her ass beat along the way. The stunt work in this thing is absolutely bonkers. Every single action set piece delivers new weapons, new ways of fighting. We get flamethrowers, we get grenades using doors to shield us, hand-to-hand combat. Obviously, we have guns, knives, mallets, and machetes. We have every kind of weapon you could possibly think of in this thing, set across so many different settings. I love the way they use John Wick in this movie. They don't tear him down to lift her up, but they also don't have him come in and save the day for her or take away our main character's autonomy, mission, successes. Hell, we even use ice skates. This thing was crazy, and I loved it. Walking into the 16th position, we have The Long Walk. Yeah, so you're going to notice a theme, particularly as we continue up this ranking. I had a lot of really depressing films that I loved, and The Long Walk ranks among them because my goodness, is this a depressing watch? One that I am not ready to revisit again maybe ever, but I'm glad I watched it. I loved the ideas behind how our government uses young people, the allegories to something like the military, using desperate young men, particularly, giving them a carrot as a way out. Though it may cost them their life. I thought all of that was handled so well. The acting performances in this were fantastic. It is brutal. In many ways, it felt unfortunately very realistic, and I could not stop thinking about it the entire night after watching it. I sat in that movie theater in silence, looking around for like 5 minutes. I didn't leave until that credits stopped rolling and I could kind of gather myself to get up and go. That's number 15. I have It Was Just an Accident. Now, this was a wild ride of a film. One of those movies that presents itself as kind of like this revenge thriller, but it's also really funny and fun as we kind of get into really crazy situations. What I love most about the film as we're working through it is that you never know which side to be on. You never quite settle in on whether you think this man is who our group of characters think he is or not. And I'm glad that they don't really hint to it. They don't really give any clues to the answer until that final act. Now, it does get a little bit wayward. I think maybe there's one or two many extra story plots that are brought into this sucker, but then it wraps up with one of the most exhilarating, jaw-clenching third acts of filmmaking in 2025. That final act completely just floored me with a brilliant final scene that goes down as one of my favorite endings of 2025. Singing her way into my number 14 position, we have The Testament of Anne Lee. The single most visceral theater experience I had in 2025. I got to experience this at TIFF and was floored up in Toronto. I never imagined a film would have me begging for some Shaker classic hymns to be dropped on streaming services, but I could not wait. Ran to my phone begging Searchlight to give me these songs because they are so good. The sound design and production is fantastic in this film. The musical moments in this movie are visceral. They feel authentic, raw, real. Amanda Seyfried is amazing in this movie. And my goodness, Searchlight, how are you failing her in getting that much deserved nomination? But our entire supporting cast is fantastic. They put the hardships on the line here while never really sugarcoating the craziness of the religion we're exploring. Though it also never condemns it. It just kind of presents everything here, the life of this woman, or at least the legends of the life of this woman. And I was completely entranced. And I was right there, shaking and quaking with them in the movie theater. At number 13, I have Sound of Falling, a small foreign film I had the opportunity to check out at the Denver Film Festival. One I was on the fence about. I wasn't sure about actually watching. and was completely floored while I was in that damn cinema. Another highly depressing movie that left me haunted by the end. The way this story unfolds in nonlinear fashion is one of the most effective nonlinear storytellings I have ever seen in cinema. The way this house is a character more than just this time traveling device. It's a lived in place that tells the story, that holds the story of the women of this family. Oh my gosh. Now, admittedly, a couple of the women, as we move along, they're not perfect. They make a few questionable choices, if you will. However, that makes the ending all the more powerful, as you don't need these people to be perfect. You don't need them to always make the right choices to have pure empathy for every single one of them. It was beautiful, it was haunting, it left such a lasting impression on me. One of the hidden gems from 2025, Sound of Falling. Soaring into the number 12 position, I have Wicked for Good. I'm sorry, y'all. I loved it. I know a lot of you people had problems with Wicked for Good, this, that, and the third. I adored this film. Now, yes, I didn't quite love it as much as I loved and adored Wicked, but that was to be expected because I had seen the play. The songs were fantastic. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were amazing. My baby Jonathan Bailey absolutely knocked it out of the park as Fiero once more. The emotional beats were all so powerful in this film. Yes, unfortunately, some of the story problems from the Broadway musical rear their ugly head here yet again and kept this from being a home run 10 out of 10. But I watched it 4 times in the movie theater and I could have kept going back. Because for me, Wicked for Good was true cinematic magic brought to the screen. Stampeding into the number 11 position, just barely missing my actual top 10 this year, I have Zootopia 2. Zoo? Ooh? Okay, no, no. Disney, you did it. You gave us a sequel that stood toe to toe with the already fantastic original film. This didn't feel like some morally bankrupt cash grab from the Mouse House. Instead, we had a fully realized story that deepened the friendship between Nick and Judy, further developed the already amazing world building of the Zootopia universe, and it is once more rich with thematic issues, topics to discuss and dissect, delving maybe even deeper this go round as we explore systemic prejudice and how it finds its way into the deepest roots of society. The animation was stunning. Gary the Snake was a pure icon, and I absolutely fell in love with Zootopia 2. Picking its way into my number 10 position, I have If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. What an absolutely insane viewing experience. This film is about the difficulties of motherhood, particularly when you're basically left alone, somewhat abandoned by your husband, to take care of a child who has extra needs and trying to balance that with work, with your own personal issues. And oh my gosh, it was brought to life in the most spectacular fashion I could have imagined. This is basically a horror film, as told through the lens of a thriller drama, if you will. Rose Byrne, the legend and icon that you are, delivering the best female performance of 2025. The decision to not show the daughter's face all the way through this film until a very specific point was inspired. ASAP Rocky was fantastic here. Some of the best big moments in acting, as well as some of the best small contained moments. Amazing dialogue, and a film that just beautifully put you into the shoes of this woman to feel the anxiety and madness unfolding as she navigates life at a very trying time. I was stressed, I was on the edge of my seat, and I absolutely loved it. Winning! At number 9, we have Twinless. Okay, so like the rest of the internet, when I saw those pirated clips from Sundance of Dylan O'Brien getting busy with a boy, obviously, this was top of the top, one of my most anticipated watches of 2025. Now, I'm still salty all these months later because y'all leaked that the day it went onto the online platform. I already had my little ticket in my online basket ready to watch. And since y'all little greedy asses did that, it got snatched up out of my cart. And I couldn't watch it until the Cinema Q Film Festival here in Denver in August. But regardless, it was worth the wait because this movie was so damn good. And not just because we got that Dylan O'Brien booty and his boy on boy action. No, the script is fantastic. Oh my gosh, this was not the movie I was anticipating walking into that movie theater. And I loved it. They kept that little twist nice and under wraps, and it hits like a ton of bricks when they drop it on you. The second half of this film has you on pins and needles. You don't know how to feel or what to think. There is empathy to go around because you're exploring loneliness and another form of depression here. Dylan O'Brien delivers a career best performance that I wish was getting some sort of acknowledgement amongst awards contenders. Twinless became one of the most unique, rewarding films of 2025. At number 8, I have Train Dreams. So it actually took me a while to muster up the umph to watch this film. It had the air of one of those movies film Twitter loves and the whole community goes crazy for. That doesn't quite land with me personally. It happens at least several times a year. But I was completely wrong because Train Dreams hit me like a freight train. Oh my gosh, I loved this movie. Joel Edgerton and Felicity Jones are both fantastic in their roles here, but the star of the show is really everything that they get to play with and work with throughout. The cinematography, oh my gosh, absolutely delicious from start to finish. The way this story is visually told is absolutely remarkable. Actually making nature and the woods, the trees, a character all in of themselves. And you know me, I love a nice little depressing gut punch, clearly. And Train Dreams delivers just that. A very realistic film that kind of just lays bare this man's life, all of his hardships, but they never feel overdone, over stylized, over moviefied, leading to an authentic conclusion that does feel sorrowful and sad, depressing, if you will, but with a glimmer of that sad life affirming magic. I was completely transfixed with Train Dreams, a gorgeous film that had my heart. Ping ponging into the number 7 spot, I have Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme, Marty Supreme, yes, get it, Marty. Oh, I love a complicated, complex, gray lead character, and that's exactly what Marty is here in this film, portrayed perfectly by Timothée Chalamet and Miss Odessa Azion. Oh my gosh, what a performance from her! One of the best supporting actress performances of the year. Marty Supreme gave me everything I love about Safdie Brothers films and took away the annoyance that often makes me not love Safdie Brothers films. Yeah, our main character can be irritating, but it's also purposeful and layered with these really good consequences. Because this man is running around not only trying to ruin his own life in the pursuit of greatness, but leaving a tornado that's kind of wrecking every life he touches. And that's where my problem with Marty Supreme is that kept it from breaking into my top five here is that I think there's one too many of those side plots that we didn't really need. But I was laughing, I was cheering, I thought the ping pong scenes were well done, not Challenger's tennis level, but they were well handled. And I loved that conflict on, do I root for this man? And yeah, I still kind of root for this man. Plus, thank you, Timothy, for not getting that body double and giving us that Marty booty and giving us the full Chalamet for the spanking. Singing their way into the number six position, I have K-pop Demon Hunters. Ah, what a shocker. This was such a fantastic film, and easily you can see why it completely took over the cultural zeitgeist and the world in 2025. A relatable story told through beautiful animation, delivering a soundtrack of bangers, start to finish soundtrack, no skips. But the music propels the narrative and tells the story about accepting yourself, flaws and all, to become your truly most powerful self. We have a love story in there that I thought was well executed, not just shoved in because the studio exec said so. A friendship story that was beautiful, jokes that had me laughing throughout, emotional beats that got me in my feels. K-pop Demon Hunters had everything I needed. Terrifying us at number five, we have Bring Her Back. No one delivers horrifying grief like the Filippo brothers do because my goodness, not only are you absolutely terrified of what you're watching on screen, some of the most horrifying imagery you could imagine, your soul is also being terrorized on these heavy themes of grief and loss. I loved everything about Bring Her Back. The makeup work, the actual physical horror here is top tier. The oppressive atmosphere from start to finish had me completely captivated. And the emotional stakes for everyone involved keeps you fully invested in the characters that we've been introduced to. So when we do lose some of the key characters here, it is literally devastating. And all of that comes back around to having this villain of the film get a moment in which you empathize with her, even after everything she's done to fulfill this crazy idea and mission. That final moment we get with our villainous character is still somehow touching and pulls at your heartstrings. I'll never hear the word grapefruit or hear a plane flying overhead the same again. Fighting its way into the number four position, I have Sinners. Oh, Ryan Coogler, the filmmaker you are. Sinners was fantastic. Far from your run-of-the-mill vampire story, Ryan Coogler delivered a horror movie thick with thematic thrill. I adore that the first half of this film has almost nothing to do with vampires. Instead, it lays down the land. Make sure you understand the full cultural settings of the time and place we have here. And then we get introduced to our Irish settling vampires who have come to suck the blood of another group being ostracized. And once we get to the vampires, the horror is great. The blood is shedding, honey. It's funny throughout. The vampire kills are awesome. And the musical moments were some of the best moments in cinema for 2025. And even those went so deep into cultural roots. The screenplay is just a work of art. I absolutely adored Sinners from start to finish. As a horror movie and as a cultural period piece, Sinners delivered it all. Coming in at number three, I have One Battle After Another. This is another film that film Twitter really hyped to the high heavens, and they love them some Paul Thomas Anderson. And sometimes I love me some Paul Thomas Anderson, and sometimes I'm not on the hype train with his films, but you got me with this one because it was fantastic. Pretty much as soon as I saw we were kicking the film off by tying up border agents and blowing up ICE facilities to smuggle folks across the border, I was on board. I was locked in and I knew this one was for me, and it sure the hell was. What a rip-roaring film. Start to finish, I was locked in. There was never a time to even breathe when it comes to One Battle After Another because you're either laughing at the insanity unfolding, pretty much anything to do with Leonardo DiCaprio's character here, or you're holding your breath as we are escaping, well, oppression. One battle after another. Chock full of morally gray characters left, right, and center. We do get a couple of cartoonishly evil ones like Sean Penn, but they're all acted so wonderfully you can forgive it all. Plus, the filmmaking on display here is out of this world. I mean, it's been talked about ad nauseum. I have to mention it too because it blew my mind. That hill scene in the car chase was next level amazing. I did think it was a little bit too long, but mostly I loved everything about this film. I gotta give it up. I see why this is getting all the accolades it's been getting. Because hell, I'm giving it the accolades too. So, coming in at my runner up position, my second favorite film of 2025 is Hamnet. Chloe Zhao, girl, did you have to hit us like this? For me, this is Chloe Zhao at the height of her powers, telling a beautiful, intimate, heartfelt story about one family dealing with grief. One family navigating love, and how two parents handle that so differently, but their very separate ways of handling grief converge. Oh, and it got me. It got me, gal. Look, Rose Byrne is still my number one pick when it comes to performances in 2025, but Jessie Buckley, you are just barely behind her with my second favorite performance of the year. Paul Mescal was fantastic here, but the light I want to shine is on Lil Jacoby Jupe, who plays Hamlet. Uh, uh, He's so damn good in this movie. One of the best child actor performances I have seen in literal years. The cinematography is so stunning in this film. The original score is fantastic. And even when they bring in outside songs, I know everyone's tired of them. I know everyone's tired of this one specifically. I thought it was used to absolute perfection. The final scene of Hamnet took my breath away. It was gorgeous, beautifully acted. I told y'all, this year I was loving me a depressed film. And that's what Hamnet is, a nice slice of depression that fed my dark soul. Before I unveil my pick for number one, my favorite film of the year, I had so many other films I adored that I would quickly like to give a shout out to. So here are my honorable mentions. Kiss of the Spider Woman was an old school, moving, over the top, razzle dazzle, gay musical that I loved. Materialist didn't deliver the rom com we all were expecting, but it delivered a realistic style romance that spoke right to my heart and sensibilities. Weapons delivered the most batshit crazy horror of 2025 with an absolutely bonkers, entertaining finale. F1 the movie was a thrill ride that delivered some of the most adrenaline-pumping race scenes we've seen in film. Little Amele, or the character of Rain, was not only adorable with beautiful animation, but it provided a wonderfully life-affirming slice-of-life story about growing up. My Father's Shadow is a small, independent foreign film I saw at the Denver Film Festival. It floored me. A simple story about a man slightly estranged from his kids, just trying to do right, and the time they get together, it was special. 100 Nights of Hero gave me feminist fantasy that I adored, chock full of great messages, performance, and of course a dashing Nicholas Gallet scene. And finally, Good Boy was the most unique horror film of the year, with an amazing canine performance grounding it all. As a dog lover, the ending of this one really tugged at the heartstrings. So my pick for the best film of 2025, my favorite movie of the year, is Frankenstein. What can I say? Guillermo del Toro just gets me, y'all. He gets me, and he delivers the type of films I want to see time and time and time again. Gothic fantasy is the genre for me. And when it's executed this well, how could I not absolutely fall in love? Oscar Isaac was fantastic as Dr. Frankenstein, and any film that gives me a little bit of Oscar Isaac booty gets an extra point or two in my book. But the acting performance beyond the booty was top tier. But it was Jacob Elordi who stole the show in what could have been a flat one note monster performance that he transformed into this moving, beautiful experience throughout. The cinematography, amazing. The costume design, spectacular. The production design, out of this world. The hair, the makeup, top tier. Every single level of filmmaking in this film is second to none. The original score was amazing, and it all leads to a wonderfully realized version of Mary Shelley's iconic Frankenstein story, delivering the nuts and bolts, delivering the story in a pretty authentic fashion by and large, but putting those perfectly executed Guillermo spins on it. A movie made for me that once again cradled my dark soul. Frankenstein was damn near perfection. So that was my list of the best films 2025 had to offer. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, make sure to join in on the discussion. What'd you think of my list? But more importantly, I want to know what your favorite films of the year were. So make sure to comment those lists either in that comment section down below, or you can hit me up over on Twitter and Blue Sky. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.